Article 3 on the European Union Convention on Extradition, 1957. Extradition shall not be granted if the offence in respect of which it is requested is regarded by the requested party as a political offence or as an offence connected with a political offense. Hello guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Tessie. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all, depending on where you are watching from. Hope you all are doing well, and thank you so much for stopping by. Today we dive into a complex legal and human rights issue that bridges two continents, and this is the case of Simon Ekpa, a Finnish Nigerian political activist and self-acclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile. Recently arrested in Finland, Ekpa faces extradition request from Nigeria. In this comprehensive analysis, we will explore the legal argument against his extradition, examine international law and human rights concerns. I will try as much as possible to explain it in a layman language. But then, I found something very interesting. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel or liked this video, help me by liking and sharing so that YouTube and Facebook can recommend it to more people. Now, I found something very interesting, but before we get into it, let's take a look at this video first.
As a professional, and secondly, I speak as a Nigerian, nothing more, nothing less. Professionally speaking, the Finnish authorities have done their due diligence and they have reasonable grounds to arrest Mr. Simon Ekpa. And in that arrest, they followed due diligence to now charge him based on the information we are getting. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do for clarifications, to authenticate all these informations. Now, with that due diligence done, it's now meant for the law court in Finland to now look into the request by the Chief of Defense Staff to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Professionally speaking, the chances are possible to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. However, in my opinion, it's almost impossible, though it's not 100% impossible, because one, there is no extradition treaty between Finland and Nigeria. Number two, the Finnish authorities have every right to take him to court to answer to the charges against him, and that is perfect, that is due diligence. And afterwards, don't forget the CJEU, the Criminal Justice of the European Union, also have a right under the European human rights to also test if he is suitable to be extradited to Nigeria based on one, the charges against him, and number two, the fundamentals, because he has to defend himself in a court of law. You cannot just bring charges without him answering in response to the reasons why he's inciting violence, to the fundamentals why he thinks there's a reason for him to request for self-determination for the people of Biafra. The Criminal Court of Justice of the European Union has to check if they believe in self-determination. They have to check if they believe in human rights abuses, because bringing that man to Nigeria is a great idea, but I'm not sure that the Chief of Defense Staff should go home and relax and sleep, because they have to consider the human rights records in Nigeria as a country. Obviously, we are all Nigerians. We know our human rights records. There is nothing to boast about. And in instances like people that have disappeared in Nigeria, off my head, Daddy Yatta is still being looked for. Nobody has seen him for years. The people that participated in the so-called NSAS protest, many of them, after the panel, no human rights justice for them. The people that were involved in the End Bad Governance protest, no human rights for them. Even last week, we saw the human abuse of a couple by an army general. Up to today, we are still hearing. Or about politicians who believe they can buy the justice system in Nigeria. Or politicians who believe they can buy vehicles, build houses for justices. So obviously, we have to understand that Simon Ekpa has to answer to his charges against him. I think that's due diligence to do, and I support that. However, we have to also ask ourselves, can the Finnish authorities, if they want to copy what we do in Nigeria, example, Simon Ekpa is a politician in Finland today. He joined politics in 2017 and is a member of the National Coalition Party, the ruling party in Finland today. They won their national elections in February this year, and they have a president of the country. Simon Ekpa also served the country as an army officer. Now, if you look at this human rights record in Nigeria, what Nigerian politicians have done about justice in Nigeria, do you think the National Coalition Party of Finland will feel comfortable to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria based on zero extraditory treaty between Nigeria and Finland and based on human rights of Nigeria in general? So I think the right thing has been done. Okay. But in conclusion, sir, I think Nigeria also has the copy from Finland to know that due diligence matters.
All right. So before we get into deeper analysis, it looks as if Simon Ekpa already knew he would be arrested, because just a month before he was arrested, specifically on the 31st of October, he tweeted this: "In the next few weeks, every Nigeria blogger will be posting against Simon Ekpa. Remember, they are not after me. Their target is you. I am only a stumbling block to their evil plans against your future. I am not telling you to do anything. Just watch and see how God will use me mightily. And they will disappear as I will take half of their followers with me, the deep blue sea." Right? I don't know what you make out of that, but to understand whether Simon will be extradited to Nigeria or not, let's start by understanding what extradition means. Like I said before, I'll try as much as possible to explain everything in a layman language so that everyone will understand. So, talking about extradition simply means when one country asks another country to send someone back to face trial or punishment. But this process is not simple. There are rules and laws to make sure extradition is fair and doesn't put anyone in danger. In Simon Ekpa's case, extraditing him to Nigeria raises a lot of legal and human rights concerns. Now, let's talk about these issues one after the other. The first and most important thing to look into is something called non-refoulement. This is a principle in the international law that says no one should be sent to a country where they might face torture, inhuman treatment, or persecution. Finland is a signatory to this law because it is part of international treaties like the United Nations Convention Against Torture and the European Convention on Human Rights. In Nigeria, political activists, especially those fighting for freedom or independence, have been treated harshly, and clear example is Nnamdi Kanu. There are reports of people being tortured and even killed for expressing their views. If Simon Ekpa is sent back to Nigeria, he could face serious harm. Finland, as a country that values human rights, has a duty to make sure this does not happen. Now, let's talk about Simon Ekpa's action. He is advocating for Biafra, which means he is supporting a movement for a new country to be created out of Nigeria. Whether you agree with him or not, this kind of activism is not a crime under international law. In fact, the right to speak freely and fight for political change is protected by the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Here is another important law in extradition cases. The crime has to be illegal in both countries. This is called dual criminality. In Finland, advocating for independence is not illegal as long as Simon Ekpa is not committing violence or breaking other laws. He is not doing anything wrong in the eyes of Finnish law. And I know some of you will be saying, he is calling for violence in Nigeria, but you have to prove it. And he also has the right to defend himself. That is how the international law works. Now, let's even imagine that Simon Ekpa is sent to Nigeria. Would he get a fair trial? Unfortunately, Nigeria's justice system has many problems, which we have all seen in the past. There are reports of corruption and political interference, especially in cases involving agitation for freedom. Now, under international law, Finland cannot send someone to a country where they won't get a fair trial. This is another reason why it may be impossible for Finland to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria, right? Anything I'm saying here that you don't understand, you can quickly make your own research online. Extradition treaty is often include an important exception. People cannot be extradited for political offenses. A political offense is something like fighting for independence or challenging a government authority. Simon Ekpa's actions are clearly political. Nigeria's request to extradite him is more about silencing his activism than addressing any real crime. Finland is known for being a country that protects human rights and follows international law. Agreeing to Nigeria's extradition request would go against everything Finland stands for. It would also weaken Finland's reputation as a defender of justice. So what next? Finland has the power to protect Simon Ekpa and ensure he is not sent back to face danger. This is not just about one man, it is about international human rights. And that is it for you all, my people. I'm ending it for you all here, and I'm going to leave you all to share your thoughts with me on the comment section. Let's continue the conversation. And with that being said, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching this detailed breakdown of Simon Ekpa's case. I don't know what you all think, like I said before, but I would love to hear them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye-bye. Bye.